Welcome to Heart and Mind Talks, a podcast for female entrepreneurs navigating life and business. I'm Vanessa Ortali, award-winning speaker and coach. Join me and expert guests as we uncover how to make success simpler, more fun, and feel truly aligned to you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who could use a little extra love and inspiration. Let's go. This is the story of how I accidentally started the ladies community. I am going to give you all the tea. I'm going to tell you the challenges and some of the hardest parts. I am going to tell you exactly how I did it. And then I'm also going to give you my take on female friendships and feminism, because you can't run a ladies community without having opinions in all of the above. So get ready. Here we go. I'm going to bring you back to the very beginning. When I first started this community, I did so out of a need. And I must say, I built this community completely by accident. Now this community is over 140,000 women internationally. We have events all over the world, Canada, the US, Europe, Australia. I have hosted networking events, speaker series, conferences, online and in person, all the fun things. With that being said, that was never my intention. I literally started the community by my personal need. I hope you learn, and this gives you ideas for your own business. And some of the best products, some of the best services are those that solve a need out of personal need from the founder, from the owner. So for me, I was in my mid-20s. I was living in the city of Toronto. I was single, and all of my girlfriends were getting married and having kids. And we were at very different points in our lives, and that was great. But I found myself needing some more friends. And making friends as an adult can sometimes be very difficult, because where are you going to meet these people? So I was online dating, and Bumble had this feature called Bumble BFF. And I don't know if it's still around, but it was basically where you could connect with other ladies and make friends. And so I went on because I wanted to intentionally create a circle of amazing women. I wanted to make friends with women who were interested in so many of the same things I was. Oftentimes, our friends as we're growing up are our friends because of circumstances, because of proximity. And as you get older, your interests change, you evolve and change. And I wanted to find women who were interested in business, who were interested in entrepreneurship and self-development. And most importantly, I was interested in women who wanted to have deep connections with themselves and others, who were open to have conversations, who didn't need to agree with one another, but who could accept one another and come to the table with a loving, curious heart and have conversations that allowed us to continue to evolve into the highest versions of ourselves while still accepting one another, praising one another, celebrating one another, and also calling each other out when we weren't living authentically and or we were contradicting our beliefs and how we were showing up, and being willing to have those hard conversations. So with all that being said, I really intentionally wanted to create this community for myself and went on Bumble BFF, but quickly realized how much time and effort it took. I mean, swiping, messaging, all the things. I just did not have time to be dating online and then as well dating for girlfriends online. And at this point, it was actually really funny because half of my guy friends would ask me to set them up with girls because I was meeting so many women at that time. But I quickly realized this is taking too much time. There has to be a better way. And I hope also in me describing this, you're hearing me say that. I just kept, so number one, I facilitated a need that I had for myself. And only later did I realize other people had that need because the community exploded. Now, the other thing is taking the next best step. And if things feel hard, let's see how we can adapt and move on. Things felt hard when I was on Bumble BFF. So I realized, okay, how can I do this easier? I wanted to meet everybody in person, but I didn't want to go on one-on-one dates with these women. So I figured I'm just going to host a wine night or a little event. I'm going to invite everybody that I'm speaking to. And I'll tell everybody to invite everyone they're speaking to. And before you knew it, we had 100 people coming out to these wine nights. We would host them once a month. And then that quickly grew to actually every single week we would host something. And it started in that manner. And then I realized also quickly, okay, well, this is becoming a little bit difficult because when I'm hosting all these events, and every time I'm hosting, I'm messaging every single person I've met, hey, I'm having an event, and inviting them out. And this was very time consuming. So I ended up creating a Facebook group. And I just told everybody, I'm going to post all of the events that we're having here. So feel free to come, and I'd love to see you there. Another little note that I want to add here. Notice that when I had these events, I messaged every single person that I had met and invited them to come out. So often people ask me, how did you get people coming out? How did you create these large events? How did you, even if it's a different, if it's a different medium, maybe you're hosting a webinar or something and you want people to show up. I messaged every single person. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs aren't willing to, I'm doing air quotes here, do what it takes to actually get people in the door. At the time, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like heavy action. I was excited to do it. I was inspired to do it. It felt easy. It felt flowy. And I didn't feel sleazy inviting people to come out because I wanted to see them. I wanted people there. And so often when people share things that they're doing, they get in this promo and sleazy sales mode. And for me, it wasn't like that. Maybe some people perceived it that way, but I felt great doing it. If you are hosting things online, in person, and you want more people to come, I need you to ask yourself, are you putting in the effort to get people there? And I must talk about this effort just quickly because I always mention it. Forced action and inspired action are very different things. Make sure the action that you're engaging in is coming from an aligned, excited, inspired place. I also had no expectation. I would go to these events with a book in my purse in case nobody showed up. So I think because I didn't have any expectations, I wasn't offended by the outcome or the results. It ended up just putting such a better energy into the events, into meeting people. It became something fun and not something that I put all this pressure on myself. And this is also the energetics of business. I always tell my clients, release expectation, let go of the outcome, don't force it. Because when you don't have the expectation, your energy changes. Your energy changes in the sale. It changes in everything. We have all been in conversations where we feel like that person needs to make the sale or is putting pressure on us to do something, and that doesn't feel good. So getting rid of that really worked for me and was also a really fun experiment because I think almost every time people showed up, but I didn't care. If one person showed up, five people showed up, 100 people showed up. And let me also tell you, while it grew very quickly, I did still have events that had five people, and that's okay. If you are having events or workshops or webinars and you have five people in the room, that's still five people that you didn't have before. The same goes for social media. If you have five people watching your reels or your stories or whatever it is, that is five people that you are connecting to. So often people get really wrapped up in the numbers and it ruins your experience. This is part of your journey. Do not judge your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10. And even some people's chapter 10s, there's ebbs and flows in business. Allow for those ebbs and flows. Roll with them, don't take them personal, and keep taking your next best step. Hosting events has been really, really fun, and they take a lot of work. Like I had mentioned, started running these events, and it very quickly, I was running an event almost every single week. And even now, when I do an event, I'll host an event and there will be 500 women that come out. And it's beautiful. I love connecting with everyone. And they take a lot of time and effort, and not everybody realizes how much time and effort goes into these events. I love doing events because I love seeing people in person. I love the energy exchange and meeting people and learning people's stories. I also had the thought of, well, do I charge? Do I not charge? So I'm going to input that here because I also think it's very useful for female entrepreneurs. There are actually so many different ways to structure your revenue, and there's no right or wrong, and things may evolve. In the beginning of the ladies community, I was hosting everything for free. I also did not have an offer to sell people because it was never my intention to make money from the community and or to even treat it like a business. I remember somebody asking me, I would say this was months in, do you have an email list? Are you capturing emails? And I just said no, because I just had no idea. So let me make a note to you to make sure you're capturing emails. You do not own your community, your social media, any of that information. And so, in order for you to be able to connect and contact your community, it is so useful to build an email list. This becomes your moneymaker. Now, because I wasn't charging for events in the beginning, I did play around with, do I charge? Because these events, like I mentioned, they take a lot of time and effort that not everybody realizes. And I thought, well, this is just taking so much time. I have to actually charge for my time. So I did play around with charging for specific types of events. I still had free networking events, but then I would charge for speaker series or mastermind like events. Now, within your revenue structure, and I continue to do this within mine, I'm constantly looking at my low ticket and high ticket offers. There's often a thought, either go low ticket or free and then have a larger high ticket offer that people can I don't want to say upsell to, but they can join later. Or you have a higher ticket event and then you're actually making money from events, because I'm not going to say it is hard to make money from events. It isn't. But if you have a high ticket event, your costs are higher, all of your expenses are higher. There's a lot more that goes into it. So you can, like I said before, have a mixture of the above. For me, I just didn't want to have higher expenses and run high ticket events and make money from events. For me, it was always easier to have a low ticket or free event, have larger numbers, and then be able, which I did later, be able to have an offer that people can join. I made more money that way having a high ticket offer from my free events than I would have charging for my events. And that was just my personal structure. Again, it might change in the future. I've always wanted to do a really, really large high ticket conference. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But just looking at what makes the most amount of sense. I personally wanted volume. I wanted as many people in that room as possible. If I was hosting an event, I wanted to fill it. And then I knew that if I met them and we had a good connection, they would work with me in the future. And however, a lot of people love charging for events because then it qualifies their leads and you might get different people in the room, and then it might make it easier to make the sale later. Your conversion rates, if you're having a low ticket event, won't be as high, but you have higher volume. So you kind of just have to decide what works for you at this point in time and in your business structure. If you listen to my podcast with Renee Walker, we talked about building community and having events. I love having events because you get to meet people, and I believe that it is a great lead generation tool while also community building tool. So really taking this information and using it and reflecting on your business model. How do you want to make money? Do you want to have in person? Do you want to have online? What is your end goal? What is your offer? But then also listening to how my ladies community started. And really, that I just kept taking the next best step. I also filled a void and a challenge that I was having personally, and knew other people were having that challenge as well. And maybe they still are. Maybe it's something that I will continue to facilitate, but I always continue to come back to How does this feel for me in my life, in my business model? With all that being said, as the community and myself have grown, the community has changed many times. COVID hit, we had to stop doing events and things all went online. Additionally, I met my partner, I moved out of the city, I now have a child. I have to continuously be asking myself, how do I want to facilitate this community? What do people need? What are they looking for? What are their challenges? And in order to find that out, I ask them. I survey my clients and my community all the time, asking them what their challenges are, how I can better serve them. And I'm constantly tuning into me. What do I need? What do I want to get out of my life? What feels good for me? Where is the energy pulling me? What feels aligned for me? And with answers from both of those things, myself and others, I continuously make changes to the community. Not all changes have been wildly accepted and or people have been excited about because maybe they're not in the same place and that's okay. But I have had to make decisions to evolve the community for my own mental health, my own livelihood. At the time when I started the ladies community, I was not coaching entrepreneurs. I was still coaching and team building in the corporate world, and I was consulting different companies and then started the ladies community. It was also exhausting trying to keep both separate. I felt like I was wearing all these different hats and I just wanted to be me. I then started to morph the community into my business, into my brand, and that felt really good for me. Did everybody love it? Probably not. But guess what? I can't run my life and my business based on what other people want and desire. They're not paying my bills, they're not living my life. I just continuously have to tune into me and what is right for me. I hope that in me sharing this growth, it gives you permission to evolve because I work with so many entrepreneurs. I basically work with two types of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs that are starting out their business and or have started their business but they're not seeing success and they need support business and mindset wise in order to move to the next phase. Or I work with entrepreneurs who have already run multi-million dollar businesses and realize that their overaction and overdrive and these high achievers, that state, that hustle and bustle is not sustainable. They are exhausted and they're looking for a different way. I do not want you to build a life and build a business that you hate and or you wake up 5, 10, 20 years from now thinking, how the heck did I get here? What did I do? I believe that life is all about change and transition and consistently figuring out what is your next step? What is best for you? And giving yourself permission to do that and not worry about how other people react and respond. Because at the end of the day, like I said, nobody's paying your bills, nobody is living your life but you. They don't actually care about how you feel. You gotta feel good. This is your life. You get one of it. And being on earth at this time is the greatest miracle, gift, and experience that we could ever be experiencing in this universe. And so let's make the best of it and not worry so much about what other people think and what other people say, because what other people say and think, that's on them. That's about their journey and their experience, which actually leads me to some of the challenges in running this community. I have tried to be my authentic self throughout this entire process. However, that can often be seen as I can often be seen as idealistic and seeing the world with rainbows and butterflies, and life isn't like that. And hearing that from others, I mean, I guess in the beginning it was a little bit of a shock and getting some hate online was a little bit of a shock, but then coming to the acceptance of who I am and shining my light even brighter and not caring about what other people say has also been one of the greatest gifts in running this community. Have I gotten hate online? 1,000,000%. I had a week where it was so bad that I could not sleep, I could not eat, I was just devastated. And going back when I was probably, I guess, what they call being canceled, and I was experiencing hate online, if I were to go back, I would do it so differently. And I hope that you learn from this as well. Back then, I felt like I needed to explain. I needed to share with people what I was thinking or where I was coming from. And I am not perfect by any means. I have made mistakes. I will continue to make mistakes. But when we try to explain or it is seen as justifying and often just adds fuel to the fire. At this point, if I get any hate or anything online, I mean, I just shut it down and I think that's okay. That's good. Right? I don't take it personal. And I realize that when people are triggered, they don't necessarily want to talk about it. They don't want to know. They just are in their own stuff. And oftentimes, when people react to things, they're not reacting to the experience that they are having in that moment. They are actually reacting to you and all the other things that have built up in order for them to get triggered by this experience. So you're not just battling this situation, you're battling everything else, all of their other emotions, all of their other baggage that has come up in that experience. And so now I just love them where they're at and realize that it's okay. We don't need to see eye to eye. I don't need to explain myself, and they don't have to understand me. It is okay. And I have to be honest, even in recording this podcast, part of me gets nervous about, am I saying the right thing? Am I going to piss somebody off? But at some point, and maybe it's after giving birth to my son, I just can't care anymore. And maybe it's also age. It's just as I grow older and as I experience more things, it is just not worth it. It is not my responsibility as long as I continue to show up as my best self. It is not my responsibility how other people respond to that. Other people's emotions are their responsibility, and I have to continue to stay in my power. What that means to me is staying in alignment and not allowing my external environment to impact how I feel and how I show up. I get to stay in my power. Nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can take away how I feel and how I show up in my life. That's a me thing, just like other people's emotions are a them thing. So it's really that, I guess that I want to say detachment, but it's not a detachment. It's just a letting go. And I guess Mel Robbins, even her book, isn't it a let them theory? But that's nothing new. There's the law of allowing people to do their thing and not taking it personal. Heck, even the four agreements, not taking it personal. So beautiful. Now, going into that, some of the other challenges of just navigating women-female dynamic. And I have mentioned this before. I really found female friendships very difficult while growing up. I really wonder if women and our relationships together are actually holding ourselves back. So much of what society tells us is this woman code, and even, dare I say, feminism, where we're supposed to be showing up in a certain way. And truthfully, half of it I feel like is BS. At the end of the day, I think we need to show up and we need to be aware of our triggers, be aware of our fears, and check them at the door. So often, female dynamics actually encourage and fuel insecurities. If someone breaks up with someone, then all of their friends will bash their ex. If they see someone on the road and people will gossip, they'll make fun. I have seen so many things with women: jealousy, competition with one another, going out to the bars and women claiming men that they were interested in. I'm the type of woman that if I go out with someone and he's not a good fit for me, I would happily introduce him to any of my friends because I truly believe that if someone's not right for me, they could be right for you, and that's okay. I'm going to put aside my ego, my insecurities, my fears, all that stuff, because it's not about me. I truly want to see other people thrive. I want to see other people happy, despite all that other stuff. And as women, like I mentioned, we breed these relationships of insecurity, of gossiping, and that's how we bond with one another. And I was just really tired of it. And I was really looking to create very intentional female friendships. Like I said, that we would lift each other up, that we would encourage each other to be our best selves. And when we weren't living up to the idea of what we wanted to be in this world, that we would have the courage and the grace to mention it, to call each other out and be able to accept it and have deep conversations instead of getting defensive and all that other stuff that women, we all know so well. And in that, I'd love for you to reflect on, what do your female friendships look like? What is at its core? Do you engage in gossiping, in putting other women down, in fulfilling and encouraging your insecurities and validating each other's insecurities? Or do you really continue to build each other up and help you to become your best self? I have asked women in the community what they are looking for in female friendships. And one of the most common answers is loyalty. And when I ask them what loyalty is, I don't even think people know. Some of the responses when I asked them what loyalty was, one woman said, I'm looking for a friend to pick up the phone whenever I call them and to help me feel better when I'm having a bad day. I mean, with all due respect, that's awesome if somebody wants to be that person for you, but that is not me. And in my opinion, looking for those things in someone else, that should be an inside job. No one needs to make you feel better when you're having a bad day, but you. And that's what I find. I find so many people are looking for their, whether it be their romantic relationships or their platonic friendships, to give them things that they need. And as we continue to become our best selves, all of my relationships get better, and the people that I attract into my life just keep getting better and better. And having this realization and starting to ask yourself, what am I looking for in others, and how can I start giving it to myself? I promise you, all of your relationships will change. While I run a ladies' community and work with female entrepreneurs, I don't even like the word feminist, because I feel like the word feminist has changed meanings so many times. And this modern feminism that I see, I personally don't believe in putting down males. I love men. I love them so much. I believe that men need to be celebrated just as women need to be celebrated. And in this feminism movement, I do feel this heaviness and this hatred towards the opposite sex. I was hosting an event once for International Women's Day, and someone was saying how bothered they were that a male colleague came up to them at work and asked them what was International Women's Day and to tell him a little bit about it. And the woman got very upset. And I just continued to speak to her about it. And I truly, truly believe that while maybe it can be annoying, if we're getting upset and or we are being triggered by people asking questions and wanting to learn and grow, then we're never going to learn and grow as a culture and society. I love when people ask questions. And if they ask about what is International Women's Day, hey, let's talk about it. People don't have to be right or wrong. It can be this open, beautiful conversation. And that is with anything. And I think within feminism, we're losing some of this. I believe the true feminist way is loving and kind and gentle, yet strong and confident. And there is no room for hate and putting women down and putting men down. I often, when I have gotten hate online, I have gotten the most amount of hate from women. And funny enough, the most amount of hate from women who are supposedly yoga instructors, enlightened people, coaches, life coaches. And what is this? I'm not really sure. I just think that our triggers as women are not part of the feminist movement. I would really love for us to come back to what does it mean to be a woman and supporting one another and realizing that we are so powerful and strong as women, owning that and really trusting our power. I believe in love. I believe in alignment. I believe in inner peace. And I believe in always tuning into you and how you feel. And this is going to almost morph into a completely different conversation of triggers and who you are and your beliefs. I've said this on another podcast, but one of the most powerful things I have done for myself was really look at my triggers, how I feel, how I show up on a daily basis, and question everything. Why do I believe this? Why do I think this? And really eliminate the fears and insecurities that were rooted in all of my decisions and how I was showing up. When I came back to love and just releasing all that other stuff, none of that other stuff matters. And in this world, we get really caught on words and the definitions that we give them. And I think that's why so often I find words don't resonate in my body because of the definition that people give them. But you get to allow them to mean different things. So, in that, let me say, I do believe in feminism, but in a different kind of feminism. I believe in a world where women are strong and confident and loving and powerful and don't give their power away to other women or themselves. I believe in a world where women continue to support each other and speak their truth from a place of love and alignment, not anger and frustration. I just don't believe that our triggers, fears, or anger should be the fuel to anything that we do. I'm always going to come back to, as a coach, as a speaker, I always come back to how do you feel and how does it feel in your body? If it doesn't feel good, chances are there's something there to uncover. It's a beautiful gift for you to dive deeper. So even in this episode, if I'm saying things that are completely triggering you, because I probably am, I trigger a lot of people with my belief in feminism or female friendships or my community, then that's okay. You get to have those feelings. I'm not taking those away from you. And there is a gift in every single one of those feelings that is here to teach you something and bring you to the next version of you. I will say this over and over and over. Everything is happening for you to evolve and transform and rebirth into the highest version of you. Every single one of my experiences, even building a women's community, has allowed me to heal my female friendships, to heal my femininity, to heal my relationship with women, including my relationship with my deceased mother. It's all about everything in life will present to show you something. So take it as a gift. You do not have to be a victim to anything that you are experiencing in your life. It is not happening to you. It is happening for you, showing you something. It is a mirror. Take the gift, please, and just lean in. To all you women out there, I love you. You are amazing. Know your power, know your worth. And if it doesn't feel good in the body, lean in. And to all my men out there, I love you too. You are amazing. We need you on this earth. We need your masculine, beautiful energy. Now, as a mom to a boy, I see it more than ever, the need for these men to just be in their masculine and women to allow men to be in their masculine. If you are a woman, know your feminine power, own it. How do you want to feel in your body? And don't be scared of it. You get to be feminine, even in business. And the same with men. What does being a man feel like to you? And it's just beautiful, honoring both and loving both and allowing both to evolve in this beautiful world that we live in. I love you. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day. That's all for today. Until next time, trust yourself, shine your light, and stay true to your heart and mind. Love you.